Mariela Rua is on the phone. She is the Adult Recruitment and Education Specialist who works primarily with the Kalamazoo region. We also have Barb Henton, who is our MAC Chair, Member Advisory Committee, and we can explain that at some point, what that is, to those of you who don't know. Ina Germain is also on the phone. She is the Chair of our Adult Awards Committee. And I believe Kathy Van Buren is going to be joining us, and Smokey Hubner is also on the phone, and they are members of the committee as well. So we're just going to start out by talking a little bit. Oh, look, there I am, and there's Mariela in her new car. That's what she drives in the winter, just so you know.
Yes, I can give everybody a ride.
So what we're going to talk about today is why awards are important, and there are two different kinds of awards. There's the informal recognition, so we'll chat a little bit about what that is, and formal recognition. And for those of you who are new to GoToMeeting, if you have questions during the presentation, you can write them down because we're going to open up the phone lines at the end, or you can type them into the chat box, and hopefully Mariela will help me monitor that. And we can make sure that we answer those as we go along. Okay. So, why is it important to recognize volunteers? Well, I think everybody, has some sort of way that they would like to be recognized for the things that they do, whether it's a thank you or just a pat on the back. It's a way of acknowledging and showing appreciation for a volunteer's efforts. It's one of the most powerful tools that we have in retention of volunteers. When they know that their time and energy are appreciated and feel like they're valuable to Girl Scouts, they commit themselves more to our organization. And one of the other reasons to recognize is to create an environment of appreciation that starts from the moment we recruit a new volunteer and ends, at reassignment or reappointment. And if our volunteers are recognized properly, they'll feel motivated and willing to continue volunteer roles. And we're not just talking about leaders, co-leaders, administrative volunteers. We're also talking about those of you who have really awesome parents who volunteer at your meetings. So making sure that we acknowledge that, their commitment, and appreciate them. So I'm going to actually turn the microphone over to Mariela, who's going to talk a little bit more about informal recognitions and what that looks like.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks. So as Jackie was pointing out in the agenda, we'll talk first about informal recognitions. And what these really are the way that we say thank you on a day-to-day basis. It would be thank you for your email, thank you for calling me, thank you for opening the door for me. Those are those type of informal recognitions we are talking about. And in the next slide, we have the other ways of saying or giving informal recognitions is by a thank you card or letter. Yes, we can still handwrite things, although nowadays everything is electronic, but it's nice to get a handwritten note or a card or letter from somebody. And we wanted to share with you some greeting cards, electronic greeting cards sites, and there are some ways of they have some tons of different varieties and selections of e-card sites at Blue Mountain, at American Greetings, and at Hallmark. I can send the websites later to all participants if you're interested. But another way also saying thank you is by email or Facebook as well. It's nice on Facebook where when you make a recognition to somebody so that everybody else can see it. Another way also is by doing virtual flowers, and this is something I was not aware of, but instead of sending an electronic card, you can send sort of electronic flowers or virtual flowers. So those first three, virtual flowers and L flowers and 1, 2, 3 greetings, have some of those electronic versions of flowers. So you can pick a picture of the flowers you'd like to send and then simply send it by email. So that is a very cute idea that we thought we'd share with you as well. Letter from a volunteer supervisor or CEO is another way of an informal recognition. And complimenting the volunteer's work to a supervisor or co-worker in the volunteer's presence. So let's say you are at a meeting with a volunteer and with the volunteer supervisor, and then complimenting them on the work that they have done right in front of their supervisor. It's an awesome way of informally recognizing that volunteer. And we also have pins and certificates available, or some pins and certificates that you could also look up. I know there are templates of certificates everywhere in out in websites. We can also look them up for you, and that is a way also of recognizing them informally. So think about those ways and think about what would work best for you. Think about what would work best for the volunteer, and think about really using that informal recognition. Just as Jackie mentioned, that's a way of motivating them, inspiring them, and feeling that they are supported by you. And the next slide, I think Aina will take away and talk about formal recognition.
Okay, thanks very much, Mariella. Was looking back at some old notes of mine. I've been working at this for about the last 15 years in Legacy Council and now with Girl Scouts Harvard, Michigan. And we have, I think, over the years developed some wonderful, more formal recognitions through Girl Scouting, particularly for some of our volunteers who have supported the area or supported one of our troops or supported the council over a longer period of time. There is a new award, and I'm not sure, as I recall, Mariella, I think you did include a version of the Adult Awards packet?
Yes, with the email that I sent to all participants, the Adult Awards packet was included, yes.
Okay, okay. And that actually gives a nice overview of the more formal adult awards that are available through gshom. The Volunteer of Excellence, if I have some folks here who were around years ago, is really a replacement for Outstanding Leader and Outstanding Volunteer. So think of this award for your, for certainly troop leaders, for cookie moms and dads, for your fall product volunteers. Really thinking, very concretely about, what have folks done to support our troop or to support our area, and look to that Volunteer of Excellence as a wonderful beginning award. We've also added another award this year called the Community Spirit Award, and it's really for someone who has impacted Girl Scouting at the area level or more than one area level over 2 or more years. It's a new award, so it's wonderful for folks who have already received awards and been recognized. Keep in mind, too, that when we look at formal adult awards, we really are looking at the previous year's service. So really think about, as I mentioned, the previous Scout year rather than, well, they're supporting us this year. That is nice to know, but this current year's service isn't really going to impact a decision that the committee or an individual would be making about volunteers. I'm not sure if we really want to go through, is that helpful for people to go through the adult awards one by one, or is it more helpful to get an idea of who's listening and what kinds of things you would like to hear?
I've unmuted everybody, so I think that if anybody would like to talk, they can now.
No? Okay.
This is Kathy Van Buren, committee
member. Hi, Kathy.
How many people do we have on? I just got on in the last couple minutes.
There's 9 people on the phone.
Okay, and how many of them are not the committee?
We have 3 people.
3?
And then some staff are listening as well.
So 3 people are not on the committee?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just wondering how many people might have questions besides us.
Mhm. Okay, it's Ina again, and I'm happy to keep talking about the specific formal awards if that's helpful. I certainly don't mind doing that. I just didn't want to go over information that people feel they have in front of them, or if it doesn't speak to your needs as a leader or volunteer. So let me just go through briefly then a few more of the more formal adult awards that are available through gshom. I've talked about the Community Spirit Award, Volunteer of Excellence, the Friend of Girl Scouting certificate. Very, very helpful for areas to recognize community organizations or businesses that really do support Girl Scouting in your area, or that have supported a number of troops in your area. The certificate is available at the area, regional, or council level. So, of course, if they've supported primarily troops and girls in your area, that's the certificate you would be looking at. We don't do many regional, but it is available, and we do quite a number of council level Friend of Girl Scouting awards. And again, it really helps to keep organizations and businesses aware of their impact on Girl Scouting and aware of our appreciation, of course, of their commitment. The next award, again, is a newer award, and this is one that was developed by Girl Scouts Heart of Michigan recently, is the Green Heart Award. That actually existed in a number of legacy councils, a number of legacy areas, and we are using a version of it now for GSHOM. And this is an award for someone who has served in one or more areas, and we're looking for that longevity. So it is for someone who has served for 5 or more years. Again, many times in our areas, we have people that have done wonderful jobs for long periods of time, and perhaps they've already received the Volunteer of Excellence or Outstanding Leader, Outstanding Volunteer. This is a helpful way to keep recognizing their service and to keep acknowledging this wonderful continuation that has gone on for a long time. So keep in mind, this is for 5 or more years, and we're of course looking at previous year's service, not the current Scout year. The next award is the Appreciation Pin. That is, again, a Girl Scout Heart of Michigan award, as well as a national award, and it is for someone who has served the area. So it's really primarily for someone who their participation has been in one area, their service has been in one area. The honor pin is next. That's for someone who has served in 2 or more areas within Girl Scouting. The thanks badge is for someone who has served the council as a whole. And this is a very prestigious award, also a GSUSA award, and of course we give it here in GSHOM. And then the thanks badge too. So for individuals who have received the thanks badge and have continued to serve above and beyond and contributed to Girl Scouting for the entire council, this is another option. Oh, and there Mariella has brought up the awards packet so that we can look at it. If you'll notice too, they are presented in a number of different places, actually only 2. The first 3, Community Spirit, Volunteer of Excellence, and the Friend of Girl Scouting for the area, are all presented at a local Girl Scout area recognition ceremony. And then if we move on, starting with the Green Heart Appreciation Honor Pin, those are presented at the council-wide recognition ceremony that is held in the spring. We've done it the last number of years in Lansing at the Kellogg Center, and this year it's actually going to be on Saturday, April 25th, and I think that was mentioned in one of Mariella's information letters. Let's see. The other thing I should point out as we're looking at this is that we've listed the criteria to give you an overview when you're considering people for different awards, and then the approval that's required. For the first 3 awards that we discussed, the Community Spirit, Volunteer of Excellence, and Friend of Girl Scouting at the area level, that is done sometimes by a committee, depends on the area, by the area manager and membership specialist. Each of those need an endorsement letter or endorsement form completed and 2 endorsement letters written by other people. So keep that in mind. If you are nominating someone, you need to find 2 other people to agree with you that this individual is indeed in need of this award. The rest of the adult awards, beginning with Green Heart on this form, are all reviewed by the Girl Scouts Heart of Michigan Awards Committee, Adult Awards Committee. And those are all given at the council-wide ceremony. And for Green Heart Appreciation, only 2 endorsement letters are needed. Pin, and let me see, honor pin and thanks badge, we need 3, and thanks badge 2, we need 4 letters. That's all mentioned under the nomination process. So Mariella and actually a number of people working on this at the council level have, I think, tried to lay it out pretty specifically so that when you're thinking about how do I want to recognize this volunteer, you will know what's needed and what might be the most appropriate. The other thing we've tried to do is identify someone at each of the regional council offices. I know here in Ann Arbor, Ipsy, it was Katie Galloway last year, that you as a leader or a volunteer, you could call someone at council to see if indeed your TO or the cookie product manager, if they have received previous awards. Many times it's important to know what they've already received, and then you can make a decision about what would be most appropriate. And I do believe that Katie could also help you make that decision once they have a bit of information. Is there more that I should be adding from the perspective of the committee members online or the staff online?
You're good.
I think you're good. I think just keep in mind that if you're going to nominate somebody, it is due into your local regional center by December 1st, and we like to have the whole packet in together. So the application, the letters of endorsement, if everything can be together, that is the best way possible for us to get those. So I think the phones are opened up, and this is the time if anybody has additional questions, comments, anything they want to share with the group that's on the phone. Go ahead and you can either type it in the chat box or your microphones are unmuted, so you are more than welcome to ask a question too.
This is Barb Hinton. I think the reason there aren't any questions is the committee has done such a great job of laying out all the information to make it pretty easy to understand and very usable. And certainly appreciate, Mariella and Jackie, you all providing us this opportunity. I guess the one thing I would just recommend is that look for somebody to recognize and try to have recognition from all the areas around the state because, or the council, because we just don't say thank you enough to people in a formal way, and it's really nice to see the smiles on those faces when people come up to get their awards. I mean, it's just so meaningful to them, and they're not doing the work to get an award, but getting that recognition is just really something special. And so for those of you who are thinking about recommending somebody for an award, I would just encourage you to go forward with it and ask your peers and your colleagues to look for somebody in their area that they're working in to do the same so that we can get recognition from all across the whole council. But thank you very much for providing us this opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We had lots of help from the committee. The one thing I do want to, we did have a question here in Lansing. If an endorser can also do the nomination, and no, the person who does the nomination has to be different than who writes the endorsement letter. So just that's a clarification.
Hi, this is Julie. Can you hear me?
Yep, we sure can. You're a little faint, but we can hear you.
I was a leader like 20 years ago for my daughter, and I'm a leader for my granddaughter. And I had a question. All of these awards are for the previous year for formal recognition, but our church is starting up a brand new group, and we got 3 levels in it. I wanted to know what kind of recognition we could do for like the parent helpers and stuff like that. We got 28 girls. We have lots of parent help, and so I wanted to know what kind of stuff out there for that. The current.
Great. I'm going to let our volunteers on the phone give you some answers to that, and then I'll chime in with what I think you could do. But maybe Ina, Kathy, Smokey, is there anything that you think that Julie could do as her troop to recognize parents this current year for their help?
This is Kathy. And some of the things we do are there's some great websites out there about Girl Scout ceremonies and poems and things like that. We here in Saline have gone on, and some of those are inspiration and just kind of like your own little Girl Scout Pinterest to trigger some ideas. We've done seeds that have to go along with, or plants in the spring to go along with growing Girl Scout poems that we've found. We've done little swaps that have to do with poems about being kind of a mentor to girls. I know I'm being kind of vague, but they've had to do with a little Band-Aid and a safety pin, and they all kind of went along with the poem, and it's a little way to recognize them. We also do a Green Blood Award in our area and have a little green heart that we pin that we are homemade that we kind of give to people that have gone above and beyond, like a cookie coordinator or someone like that, or a registrar. So those are some of the things we've done.
That's great. And keep in mind, too, that we often get little gift items in our stores, too. So if you wanted to give them a Girl Scouts coffee mug or a pen or just something, you know, something simple like that. But I agree. I think Mariella said it at the beginning. A handwritten thank you note goes a long way. So even if the girls did something at one of your meetings where they wrote the parents a handwritten note to thank them for helping the troop. I know when I volunteered with my children in the past that I still have some of those thank you notes that I kept just because they're so heartfelt, and some of the messages actually are a lot of fun to go back and read at a later date. So those are some ideas. Does that help, Julie?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I thought of a couple other things. This is Kathy again. We've also done handprints and that kind of thing on aprons for leaders with the girls from their troop. So different things like that they could keep that are useful. So keep that in mind.
Smokey.
A lot like teachers doing teacher gifts.
Now, Smokey's written in the chat box that there's a green angel pin you can make with a paper clip and a bead and a poem. So I bet you can look that up on, there's lots of sites. Even if you Google it, you might be able to find it. If not, we can help you find it. I'm sure Smokey would share it with us if she has it.
Great, thank you. Those are lots of ideas.
Good. Any other discussion? So you can certainly email. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say that I can email all the participants the websites that we referred to at the beginning of the presentation, so they have it, because if so they have.
Working with should also be able to help you or direct you to where you need to get help, but certainly Mariella and I can help you. But please feel free, if you think of something later, go ahead and contact us. And we have recorded this webinar, and it usually takes us a couple of weeks. We kind of edit out all the blank spots and awkward ums and all those things, and we get them saved and put up on our website for you to review at a later date too. I wanted to thank the Adult Awards Committee and Barb, our MAC Chair, our Member Advisory Committee Chair, for being on the phone today, and I wanted to thank our participants for taking the time to listen today.
You're welcome. This is Kathy. I just sent Ina a note. I've got a couple questions for the committee. Could we stay online for a few minutes?
Kathy, can I set up something a little bit later for a phone call for that?
I just have a couple questions. Or I guess Ina and I can talk, or I have a question for you, but just wondering, since we were just all sitting here, it wouldn't take but a couple minutes.
Okay, sure. Let me just close the meeting for everybody else. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.